The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark.
Glory to you, O Lord.
On leaving the synagogue, Jesus went with James and John straight to the house of Simon and Andrew. Now Simon's mother-in-law had gone to bed with fever, and they told him about her straight away. She went to him, took her by the hand and helped her up. And the fever left her, and she began to wait on them. That evening, after sunset, they brought to him all who were sick and those who were possessed by devils. The whole town came crowding round the door, and he cured many who were suffering from diseases of one kind or another. He also cast out many devils, but would not allow them to speak, because they knew who he was. In the morning, long before dawn, he got up and left the house, and went off to a lonely place and prayed there. Simon and his companions set out in search of him, and when they found him, they said, "Everybody's looking for you." He answered, "Let us go elsewhere to the neighbouring country towns, so that I can preach there too, because that is why I came." And he went all through Galilee, preaching in their synagogues and casting out devils. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
At present, in the Western or Latin Church, if someone feels a call to the priesthood, then that person has to make a decision between ordination and marriage. And this then is a sacrifice for many people who have then to give up the chance of a committed, exclusive relationship with another person. They have to give up the idea of having children of their own and living in a wider family network. And there's also another relationship which they have to forgo, one which can be slightly problematic, and that is the relationship with the mother-in-law. There are many jokes and stories about this particular character, and some people have even suggested that in our gospel story today, Simon must have done something or said something which annoyed Jesus so much that Jesus went and healed Simon's mother-in-law just to get his own back. I wouldn't dream of even repeating such an uncharitable thought. But what does Mark tell us about Simon's mother-in-law? He doesn't, unfortunately, give us her name, a common failing among the biblical writers who very often leave the women characters in stories anonymous. But he tells us that when the fever left her, she began to wait on Jesus and his disciples. the ones who had come with him. And what we see if we look at the Gospel of Mark is that this verb to wait on is actually the verb to serve. And Mark uses it very seldom. In fact, he only uses it 4 times. He uses it once to talk about the angels who look after Jesus in the scene where Jesus is tested after his baptism. He uses it here of Simon's mother-in-law. And he uses it about the women at the cross. He says they were the ones who followed Jesus from Galilee and who ministered, looked after the needs of Jesus and his disciples. But the most important use of this verb, from which we get the word deacon in English, is where Jesus is talking about leadership in the community. And he talks about himself as the one, the Son of Man, who came not to be served, but to serve. And he says that leadership is self-giving for the good of others. So who then does Mark say exemplifies this attitude? Who's the example of someone who serves, who puts Jesus' teaching into practice? And it's Peter's mother-in-law.